Hello da Tangam, welcome to Gully Classroom. This is the special edition of Gully Dozen. Sir, what is Gully Dozen? Gully Dozen is an idea where I am going to use 12 multiple choice questions, 12 MCQs in order to revise a particular chapter. Okay, in which particular chapter are we going to do Gully Dozen right now? We are going to do Gully Dozen in the chapter, in the CBSE 10th Standard Economics chapter, Sectors of Indian Economy. This particular lecture is taken in English. A Tamil version is also available. So if you want to listen to the Tamil version, kindly do check out the playlist. There is also a Tamil version of the same lecture available for your consumption. Okay sir, okay sir. I do want to listen in English. So how am I supposed to listen to this Gully Dozen in the most optimal manner for most beneficial output? This is what you are going to do. You can find all the 12 questions in the description. Okay sir. Go through those 12 questions that are used in this Gully Dozen. Mark the answers. Okay sir. Then what am I supposed to do? Then continue this lecture with me. Listen to the entire lecture. Check how many answers you have got right. Then by doing this, you can study this chapter and also you can know where you are standing with respect to your knowledge of this particular chapter, Sectors of Indian Economy. This is how you should do this Gully Dozen for optimum results. Okay sir, okay sir. Let us start this Gully Dozen. Okay Tangam. Let us start the first question. Let us look at the first question. Which of the following professions belong to the tertiary sector of the economy? Before going through this tertiary sector question, let us do a very fast recollection of primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector. When you are using resources from the nature, it is called as primary sector. Usually, agriculture and related activities come under primary sector. Okay sir, okay sir. What are the other activities of primary sector? Animal husbandry. Animal husbandry comes under primary sector. What else sir? Mining comes under primary sector. All these are using resources that are available in nature. What about primary sector? Sorry, what about secondary sector? Secondary sector is an industrial sector. You are taking the products from the primary sector and converting them into finished goods in factories. You are taking the products from primary sector and converting them into finished goods in factories in secondary sector. Sir, give us an example. You in agriculture, you can produce wheat. So wheat is a product of primary sector. Using this wheat, you can manufacture biscuits. That is done in factories. Manufacturing of biscuits comes under secondary sector. So production of wheat comes under primary sector. Manufacturing of biscuits comes under secondary sector. What about tertiary sector, sir? Tertiary sector is a sector which is going to help both primary and secondary sectors to function. For example, tertiary sector involves banking, which is necessary for both primary and secondary sector. It involves transporting both goods and people, transporting of both goods and people. Usually transporting of goods is called as logistics. Let me teach you a nice word. Usually transport of goods is called by a nice word which is termed as logistics. So banking, transport, logistics and even myself teaching comes under tertiary sector. It is a service sector which helps primary and secondary to function. Tertiary sector helps the functioning and the better working of primary and secondary sectors. Okay, now let us get back to the question. Which of the following profession belongs to the tertiary sector? Fisherman. Fisherman is taking resources directly from the nature. So it also comes under fisheries, comes under primary sector. What about farmers, sir? Farming also belongs under agriculture and farming activities. In fact, you can write agriculture and farming activities. It also comes under primary sector. What about factory workers, sir? Factory worker means secondary sector. What about teachers, sir? Teaching comes under tertiary sector. So answer is D. Let us look at the second question. Choose the incorrect option from the following. So out of these 4 options, 3 are correct. Only one is wrong. I need to select that. Okay, let us do this. Let us check the first one. Courier. Courier means you are transporting packages. Courier comes under logistics. So courier is a tertiary sector. Fisherman. Fisheries is primary sector. So that is also right. What about carpenter, sir? Okay, carpenter is using wood from nature. So is carpenter primary sector? No. Think wisely. Listen carefully. Carpenter is taking the wood that is given to him by the woodcutter. So woodcutter here will belong to the primary sector. Woodcutter here will belong to the primary sector. The carpenter buys wood from the woodcutter, and using this wood he is producing finished goods. And right now a lot of furnitures are in fact manufactured in small scale industries. Am I right or wrong? There will be some 6 to 7 carpenters who band together. They produce and manufacture a lot of good furniture, sofa, chairs, etc. They put a separate showroom. So carpenter has to come under secondary sector. Carpenter has to come under secondary sector. Okay, sir. So the wrong option right now we see. Let us check the option D. Banking. It comes under tertiary sector. What about the third question, sir? Okay, let us study the third question. In our country, NREGA 2005 aims to provide. Sir, let me ask you a question right now. Yes, Tangam, please tell me. Before going to this question, kindly do a very short recollection of what is NREGA 2005. NREGA 2005. Okay, let me do a very short recollection of NREGA 2005. What is NREGA 2005? NREGA 2005 means National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. Okay, why did the Union government introduce this act? This was introduced as a quick measure to create employment. So NREGA is creating employment. How is it creating employment? NREGA gives work to all the rural people below the poverty line. All the rural people below the poverty line, at least 100 days per year. It guarantees 100 days of work for all the willing people in rural areas who are below the poverty line. Rural areas below the poverty line. Okay, sir, that is fine. Rural areas below the poverty line. What next? By doing this, NREGA 2005 is implementing the right to work. We have a fundamental right to work. NREGA 2005 is helping us to implement it. What else, sir? So what type of work is promoted in NREGA? The type of work that increases production of land is promoted in NREGA. This is basically a very short recollection of NREGA. Now let us go for our question. In our country, NREGA 2005 aims to provide to all those who are capable of and are willing to work a minimum of how many days of employment? 100 days of employment. So option is, for the third question, it is B. What about the fourth question, sir? Okay, let us look at the fourth question. Dash sector of Indian economy is the largest employer. Obviously, out of the 4 options, option B, agricultural sector is the largest employer. Out of the 4 options, industrial sector, agriculture and service sector, agriculture is our largest employer. Now, there is a variation of the fourth question. Let us look at that also. The fourth question, both the fourth questions have the same question word by word. Do go through them. Both the fourth questions have word by word the same question, but the options have changed. So is the answer changing? Yes. Let us look at the options in the fourth question's variation. The options are industrial sector, agricultural sector, primary sector, none of these. Tangong, listen here carefully. Yes, agriculture sector is the largest employer. Agriculture and farming is the largest employer in India. But agriculture is simply a part of primary sector which contains animal husbandry, mining, fisheries and so on. So the primary sector, if given, will always be the major employer in India. If they have given both agricultural sector and primary sector, you will always need to choose. You will always need to choose. For fourth variation, you will always need to choose C. Option is primary sector. Option is primary sector. Are you comfortable with how I did this? Okay sir, okay sir. Let us go for the fifth question. Absolutely Tangam. The sector which is emerged has the largest producing sector in India is obviously tertiary sector. We have a separate segment in our book. Emerging sector right now in India is which sector? Tertiary sector. Why? Because people want better amenities in their life. Like they want tourism, they want private schools, they want private hospitals. Also, right now, a lot of educated people are preferring and going for service sector jobs. Yeah. So, for the fifth option is C. What about the sixth question, sir? Let us look at the sixth question. GDP is total value of dash produced during a particular year. First, let us try to understand what is GDP. GDP is gross domestic product. It means we can simply add all the value of the final goods and services that are produced in a particular year in a given country. GDP means you can simply add the value of all the final goods and services that are being produced in a particular year in a particular country. That's it. Okay, sir. Kindly give me the significance of the word final goods and services. Sami, there are intermediate goods and there are final goods. Sir, give me a better illustration. You are producing wheat in the primary sector. Wheat is converted into biscuit in the secondary sector. So, the value of the wheat that is produced in the primary sector will be included. If we are going to include the value of the biscuit which is produced by the secondary sector, because biscuit is made from wheat, in order to calculate GDP, you will not, let me repeat, you will not add both the values of the wheat produced in the primary sector and the biscuit produced in the secondary sector. You will only calculate the value of the biscuit produced in the secondary sector because the economic value of the wheat is included in the biscuit. Sir, so what is wheat called as? Here in this example, wheat can be called as intermediate product. Intermediate product. Okay sir, okay sir. I am comfortable with this particular idea. Now let us go for the sixth question. GDP is the total value of option B, all final goods and services produced during a particular year in a particular country. That is fine, that is fine. Let us go for option 7. Choose the incorrect option from column A and column B. Right. They are asking us to choose the incorrect option. So, out of these, a couple of them are right, a couple of them are wrong. I need to select them. Column A contains categories of person. Column B contains developmental goals. Let us look at column A. Landless laborers. Okay. In column B, more days of work and better wages. Yes. The developmental goal, the aspiration of a landless laborer will always be they will need more number of days of work and they will need better wages. Let us look at the second one. Prosperous farmers from Punjab. Availability of other resources of irrigation. No Tango, this does not match. A farmer who is prosperous will not search for other sources of irrigation. He will simply dig his own well because he is already prosperous. Okay, so there is something wrong in the option B. Let us go for option C. Farmers who depend only on rain for crop growing assured high support prices for their crops. No, these farmers depend on rain. They do not need high support prices, but they need water. If you look at it in a more careful fashion, you can notice that option B is matching to 3. Option B is matching to Option B from column A is matching to 3 in column B. Look at it, prosperous farmers from Punjab. They do need high support prices for their crop because they will be producing a large amount of it. So you need to give support prices for their crop. Okay, let us look at the next one. Farmers who depend only on rain for crop growing. Okay, let us, that matches with option 2 from column B. Farmers who depend only on rain for crop growing, they need availability of other sources of irrigation. If you are going to give them a canal of water from a dam, then they will be very much happy because they need not depend on rain for their irrigation. They can do farming throughout the year. Okay. So B is wrong, C is wrong. Let us check option D. A rural woman from a land owning family. What is her aspiration? A regular job and high wages to increase her income. Is this optimal? Yes, this is optimal. How, sir? A rural woman from a land owning family. Okay. If you are going to give her a regular job with high wages to increase her income, if you are going to give her a regular job with high wages to increase her income, what will happen? She will be independent. She will help her children more. So, the option D is right. The wrong one is option B and C. The wrong one is option B and C. That is given as the third one. So, B and C. B and C. Okay, sir. That is comfortable. Kindly go for the next question. Let us look at the 8th question. Find the incorrect option from the following. Right. What are the incorrect options from the following? Underemployment means more people are engaged in a job than needed. Obviously, when you can complete a work using 2 people, if you are using 4 people, then you are doing underemployment. For example, if only 2 people can do farming in 1 acre of a farmland, if 4 people are doing farming in the same farmland in a particular family, that is simply a very good example of underemployment. Okay, sir. Let us study the second one. So, first one is right. Underemployment is only found in agricultural industry. Not exactly. Let us say there is an electrician. The electrician will need work every day, but a lot of times he might not get work every day. So, he will be underemployed with respect to his capacity. So, underemployment can be found not just in agricultural sector. Underemployment is found mainly in agricultural sector, not only in agricultural sector. Most of the underemployment is happening in agricultural sector, but underemployment is not limited to agricultural sector. It is also found in tertiary and secondary sectors. So, for the 8th question, we can easily see that the answer is B. But anyway, let us study the next 2 things. For the 8th question, option is B. With respect to this C option, underemployment is also called as disguised employment. Yes. Why, sir? Because when 4 people are working on a farm where only 2 people can finish off the work, it looks like all 4 people are engaged, but 2 people are wasting their time. So, it is called as disguised unemployment. Okay, underemployment is also found in other sectors. That is obviously right. Okay, sir. What is the next question? The next question is a passage question. Read the passage given below and answer the following questions. Let us read this particular passage, sir. Kanta works in an organized sector. Organized sector covers the enterprises or places of work where terms of employment are regular and therefore people have assured work. Terms of employment are regular. Sir, what is terms of employment? An agreement, a pact between the employer and employee where the employee gives in agreement that he will work this particular job for this particular payment. This is basically your what, sir? Terms of employment. Here terms of employment are regular. What does it mean? It means he will have to work only a particular number of hours every day. If he is going to work more, he will get to overtime payment, and he is also entitled to paid leaves, casual leave, sick leave, provident fund, and so on. Let us continue. So, they are registered. Who are registered? The organized sector are registered with the government and have to follow its rules and regulations which are given in various laws such as Factories Act, Minimum Wages Act, Payment of Gratuity Act. Shop and Establishment Act, etc. It is called organized because it has some formal processes and procedures. Some of these people may not be employed by anyone but may work on their own, but they also have to register with the government. Workers in the organized sector enjoy security of employment. In an organized sector, the employer cannot simply fire any employee. He needs to have a formal procedure. The termination of an employee always needs to happen with respect to a formal procedure. They are expected to work only a fixed number of hours. Who are expected to work only a fixed number of hours? Workers in an organized sector are expected to work only a fixed number of hours. If they work more, they have to be paid overtime by the employer. They also get several other benefits from the employers. What are these benefits? They get paid leave, payment during holidays, provident fund, gratuity, and they also supposed to get medical benefits. And under the laws, the factory manager has to ensure. What does the factory manager has to ensure? A good working environment, the availability of water in the drinking water in the environment, a safe place to work. All this must be ensured by the manager. Okay, sir. When they retire, these workers also get pension. Okay, fine. Now you have studied the entire paragraph. Now let us go for the question. Workers of which sector? Ninth question. Workers of which sector enjoy the security of employment on a regular basis? Organized sector. Just now we studied an entire para about how workers in organized sector are enjoying security of employment. They cannot be fired without due process, without due reasoning. What about the 10th question, sir? Who has to ensure facilities like drinking water and a safe working environment in an organized sector? Obviously, manager. We studied about this just now at the end of our entire passage. Okay, sir. Let us go for 11th question. Why do people have job security in an organized sector? Because they are registered with the government. They need to follow the companies, the organized sector, because they are registered with the government. These factories will follow all the laws that are given by the government. So the option is A. Let us go for the 12th question. Rakesh works in an automobile unit in Gurugram, but he does not get any facilities like health, insurance, medical leave, provident fund, gratuity, etc. He has to accept low wages and conditions that are not fair. Where does he work? Obviously, he is working in unorganized sector, because let us immediately recall the organized sector points we studied right now. Let us recall the organized sector points we studied right now. Here I am going to compile all the organized sector points. Okay, sir. What about right here? Here I am going to compile the unorganized points. Unorganized sector. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Let us go for the difference, sir. Come on, Tango. The difference between organized sector and unorganized sector. Terms of employment are fixed. They are fixed. They are regular. Job security. They have job security. What else, sir? This is not available in unorganized sector. Terms of employment are not fixed. There is no job security. What else, sir? The organized sector are registered with the government. Registered with the government. That is fine, sir. What about unorganized sector? Not registered with the government. Okay. What next, sir? Because organized sector is registered with the government, they need to follow all the rules like Minimum Wages Act, payment of gratuity, Shops Act, and so on. Overtime is being paid in organized sector. There is no overtime that is being paid in unorganized sector. There is medical benefits. There is medical benefits, and the manager needs to ensure that you are working in a safe environment with good amount of available drinking water. This is not available in unorganized sector. That is basically the difference between organized and unorganized sector. Yeah. Anyway, so Rakesh is a sad fellow, for he is working in unorganized sector. Let us hope he gets a better job in an organized sector. Yeah. Cheers. That's the end of this particular Gully Dozen. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Yeah. Hope to meet you guys in the next lecture. If you like our lecture, obviously subscribe to our channel, click the bell icon. What next? recommend our channel to your friends via WhatsApp. What else, sir? Promote our channel in where, sir? Social media like Instagram, so that we will have more fun studying together. Which subjects, sir? Physics, chemistry, biology, maths, economics, history, geography, and so all subjects will be covered right here at Gully Classroom with me, Muthukumar. We are going to have so much fun. Guys, do not miss out. Subscribe to us, recommend us to others. We are going to have so much fun. Cheers and thank you, guys. Meet you in the next lecture.